gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
God, am I the only one that's actually kind of over this song? I'm not like the world.
I am over the intro.
Yeah.
I love the song, but I'm kind of like I'm in new Oos world where I'm like, oh, I'm just sick of this. I fast forward through it if I could.
I think you kind of get fatigued with all of these guys' songs and stuff like that. That's why you got to change it up every so often. I'm still waiting for the Limp Bizkit version of Braun Breaker's song because they haven't dropped that yet. But I dig Becky's new song as well. But Cody's, for some reason, I'm so over it. I don't know why. And we haven't heard it in forever. We just heard it at WrestlePalooza for the first time in God knows how long. But I still just, I'm more of a Seth Rollins guy, my dang self. But we have our guy 24KG in the building to talk all things wrestling. We got to get to All In, too, at some point. Because that was a fantastic show in its own right. But, sir, how are you? How's your week?
This is how we doing, man. Lord. This is how we doing.
We're back in the 49er where
this is how we're doing. This is how we're doing.
Okay.
Bang bang, Niner gang.
Look,
salutations, gentlemen.
Oh my gosh.
Well, real
don't
quick,
say that. Your mic is super low.
It really is. We got to turn you up. But I think that's on my end, my friend. Real quick, since you are a Niner fan and we did just talk about it. Nick Bosa being out for the rest of the year. How are your feelings on this?
I think you guys summed it up pretty accurately. You know, there's a lot of opportunities for other guys to make big plays. The Niners take care of their guys. Bosa, unfortunately, it kind of sucks at this time, but actually it kind of works out. You know what I mean? Hopefully we'll see him later on in the season if it's not that bad as updates progress. You guys are always first with the info when it comes down here to Bakersfield and ESPN. So if I have any concerning questions about Nick Bosa's status, I'll hit you guys. I'm not gonna worry about the interwebs.
I appreciate the nod, but yeah, we get our information a lot of the time from the interwebs. So it just
first. But we just don't sleep.
Yeah, we just try not to. I mean, you can see the circles under Sparky's eyes are starting to get there more than mine.
Hey,
now.
I was asleep.
I got
was
a whole
asleep
4
as
hours
soon as Raw was ending. I was.
See, I was struggling.
Fortunately, next week we have an earlier start time to combat NFL viewership, which will be starting about an hour early next week.
Is it next week or was that this week? I thought that they started at 4 o'clock this week. Oh, okay. Fantastic. I didn't miss it then. I was sitting there at 4 o'clock yesterday running the sister station. I was like, oh, Lord, I'm going to be 2 hours behind on Raw instead of just 1.
Well, before we get into WrestlePalooza and all the other stuff, you brought up the timing, and I've had multiple wrestling fans text me complaining about how early they're going to have to get up at this next PLE.
Perth, Australia, Crown Jewel, right?
Yes.
I mean, again,
what's the start time for that?
I think
in American time.
Probably going to be in the 8 o'clock area.
I'm looking at the text right now.
Even 10.
I believe it was 7.
Is it 7 in the morning? That makes sense. Because I remember the
Saturday?
Australian shows are traditionally 7 or 8 o'clock. Saudi Arabia, I believe, is around noon.
It says 5 a.m. Pacific.
5 a.m.?
8 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, so he sent me the poster, and I said, what is this? And he said, it's the Crown Jewel. Are you getting up at 4:30 in the morning? I said, I already get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Shoot.
Yeah. You know?
I'm already up. Maybe we could do a whole show afterwards? Sure.
Right?
Why not? I'll be up at 5 a.m.
Let's see if Dionysus will open it up for us.
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna.
He could be brewing while we make omelets or something.
I don't think he's going to be open for that one.
I mean, he's a fanatic too, so we'll see.
I don't know.
Maybe we can get a breakfast truck out there and make our own omelets or whatever. We'll make something work. We are called the Early Bird Special for a reason.
We got some Braun Breaker and egg omelets going on. Let's go.
Kyle, we need to talk already. We need to bring you in this week just to talk, but we need to talk now. This is actually a great idea. Anywho, let's talk WrestlePalooza first before we get to what happened last night, Monday Night Raw. Were you surprised as I about this whole Brock just running roughshod through John Cena to start the show? I mean, kids crying to the point of it being uncomfortable.
Well, I don't know why everybody's surprised because that's the whole thing with Brock versus John. They've had several encounters, and over the years, John Cena has gotten a couple, but Brock has won the majority of them clean, without question. Now, if we have John Cena lose to Brock Lesnar, what was the whole point of bringing Brock Lesnar back? I think this really made way for the next encounter where we could see a possible team up with the Vision, Brock Lesnar at War Games versus basically WWE's All-Stars with Punk, Rhodes, Cena, Roman, Randy, whoever else they're going to have as their top elite guys that they're going to throw at each other for War Games. But God, I'm just gonna keep it real. I felt a little underwhelmed. Anybody who was surprised that was like, oh man, I thought John Cena was gonna pull this out. It's his retirement year. Nah. Cena's always put over Brock. That's the mystique of Brock Lesnar. We're in the ESPN era. Of course, they're gonna have Brock Lesnar as legit as we're ever gonna see him. He looks in phenomenal shape.
Right.
Whatever he's doing, he's gonna keep doing it. But one thing I want to address is the statements by some people feeling like they were bamboozled, swindled. This could have been on a Saturday night PLE, an episode of SmackDown, 5 matches. Are we starting to run the course of that? Is Triple H starting to run thin on creative? But one thing that got me was a quote by ESPN Combat Sports reporter Andreas Hale for saying that it fell short of expectations. That was the consensus from ESPN board members, stockholders, and everybody else that was really looking forward to something more exciting as it was advertised to. There were no real surprises other than the women's world title match, which basically was the match of the night.
I agree.
And they rated it on a grading system, much as how we do and every other analyst would, from best to worst. And overall, they gave the PLE a C.
They gave it a C. ESPN gave their own PLE a C.
I wasn't impressed.
Now,
I wasn't either.
Now,
but
is this ESPN calling out WWE basically on their BS for how they've skated by the last couple of months? Since the whole inauguration of Netflix, since them leaving broadcast or cable television to go on these streaming platforms, I would have to say yes. They are calling out WWE to provide better storylines, better things that we could go down the list of, but let's just start at the top of the PLE with John Cena and Brock Lesnar. We had a 9-minute match with 6 moves. Now, that's what you can't expect from Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Well, that's what you expect from both of these guys, though.
Yeah, especially at this age. Now, it may be 11 years ago when we first seen this happen, I believe at SummerSlam, where Brock Lesnar just destroyed. We had the inception of Suplex City.
Fair.
Yes, it was great to watch. But now when we look at this, these guys are legends. What we're seeing is the last of this series. So why not build it up and finish it off with something grandioso like War Games?
Well, no, hold on.
Which I could see possibly happening.
Here's my thing, though, because I think while watching this match, the only thing I could think of was this, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that was thinking it, because all I could hear on Busted Open yesterday from Bully Ray and from Dave LaGreca was the same thing. Brock is going to be his last match.
Yeah, it's a build-up.
This is a build-up. There's no reason for John to have lost like that if they're not going to give John his lick back at the very end.
He's got to get that W back. Most people were saying Gunther, but I don't see a reason for Gunther to come in and face John Cena after he gets his win back from Brock Lesnar. No. It doesn't make sense storyline-wise unless they want to put Gunther over as the guy who retired Cena. Now, if this was the Vince McMahon era, we would probably have El Grande Americano retire Cena, much like
all three of them.
Corbin retired
really.
Angle. Yeah.
What I saw this morning was I totally agree. I was like, okay, well, this is just a build-up. That's why it's the first match.
Yeah.
That's why he got his butt whooped that quick.
That's why you had the long walkout by himself.
And he started to turn around and just kept walking. But I did read
the kid's
more.
crying was awesome.
This is
yeah,
Rock.
Of course.
Awesome.
They were like, where's the kid crying? Where is he?
Yeah.
And I saw this morning they were talking more of The Rock returning at Survivor Series and setting it all up.
It's possible.
Look, I'm going to keep it real. There's always a rumor that The Rock's going to pop up somewhere.
Of course.
And I don't think he will. Honestly, he's focused on what's going on with the Smashing Machine movie coming out this October.
Which looks
He's
fantastic.
training and preparing for another role already.
Of course.
As you can see with the massive undercut in weight. The Rock I would actually prefer him not to come back and boof up another storyline that we get no payoff on.
Well, only thing I would say, because I do it, I hear it after every PLA. Where was The Rock? Where was The Rock?
Right.
But I am hearing that The
can't
Rock
help that.
wants one more last send off with Cena before he goes.
Well, of course.
And we have 4 or 5 hits left.
You have to acknowledge the rivalry between the two of them too.
Most definitely.
There's
But
5
do we wanna
matches
see
left.
that?
I would just be more happy that it's just a visit than a match.
Not a match.
Because I don't want to see a match.
We don't need
Yeah.
Cena Rock again, but I like the idea of Rock coming down, having War Games be Team Corporate, which is going to be him, The Vision, Brock Lesnar, and his group against Team, WWE, which will be all the Renegades like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, John Cena, like the big name guys. I think
all the
now most
All-Stars.
likely Jay will most likely be left out of it because I think this thing is brewing between him and LA Knight pretty well. So they'll probably continue that instead. But that is the extent of it, though. I don't think we need to see John v. Cena in a match again. That does need to happen.
Yeah, most definitely.
But going
Speaking
down
of the Usos.
Yes. I think that was a great match, but
I didn't expect them to lose.
yeah, neither did I.
I'm not going to lie to you. I did not expect them to lose, but
Well, you kind of got to look at these setup for how the night went. If you have the Vision, the Bronze, lose earlier in the night, then that definitely means CM Punk and AJ Lee can't win. So, somebody had to take the L that night on that team because
Right.
if they took the L, if CM Punk and AJ Lee lost, what was the whole point of bringing her back? Nonetheless, it was a good match. ESPN was quoted as saying the Usos have had better matches, of course, but for those fans that haven't been watching the last 10 years, these guys are highly decorated and one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Now, the Bronze did a great job as well. So I would have to really give the match a higher grade than ESPN rated it, which was a C, but a 9 to 12 minute intro really took the piss out of everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times they say run it back. I was literally watching this like, I'm sorry, I would be gassed. And you could tell the Usos was gassed with that whole intro. But, hey, shout out to them. Great cardio, great stamina, great showmanship for continuing going and pushing it on. So I really, really, though, have a problem with the fans being so incessant on the yeet chants that it is starting to clock time as far as what we're running into with a PLE performance. It's cutting short on matches. It's running over on certain things. And as you can tell from when the accident happened at the end of the match with Jey Uso hitting himself after he basically blasted Braun Breaker over the back, it bounced up and cut his forehead. So that end kind of got rushed, blood everywhere. Inaugural ESPN PLE christened in fluids. That's what we got to right there, which I can't say was bad. It was a little intense, maybe more so for the people who are board members and FCC regulators and whatnot that, control viewership and what they can show as far as color.
Which was a perfect exit
Overall,
for
though,
McAfee.
Yeah, it was very surprising also to see Pat McAfee back, which was great. I love the way Michael Cole geeked out when they hugged each other, real bro moment right there. But the match itself, they gave it a C. I would give it a B-. It was some intense spots in there. I love to see Jimmy and Jake go out there for nostalgia purposes, but nonetheless, it was a great athletic, clash of superior talents that WWE has produced over the years. So it was all right.
That's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
how I
all
feel about
right.
it too.
You
I
know,
feel like
but
a C is a fair grade for it.
I was thinking the same thing. It was
were a
kind of
handful-
rushed
B-
at the end.
C,
There were a handful of spots too. You could tell they slipped a little bit. Like the double spear through the table didn't go exactly like they were supposed to. But
Yeah,
that's kind
it's
of
a lot
hard to
of
pull
blood.
off.
Yeah,
I mean,
they tried a lot.
Unless Braun is going to super spear the two of them, which would hurt like a mofo and arguably be even more dangerous because God only knows where his head would land with that. Like, I don't know how you kind of pull that off in a corner. It would be
I think
hard.
one of the best spots in that match was the super tsunami where you see the table fold over Jimmy from the impact that
at the end.
Bronson gave off of that splash. It was the aesthetic was very, very well timed.
Yes.
That was perfectly timed.
You couldn't have planned that. Yeah, you couldn't have planned that. It was really signaling defeat of the Usos, which kind of gave a little bit more legitimization to the Vision and this whole squad that they've got going on.
That went perfectly into the match of the night, I think, was Stephanie and Io, which we all kind of expected. But that was a hell of a match, and I was happy that we didn't get any run-ins because I was really expecting, okay, it's going to be Asuka or somebody's going to come out. And I think that match killed it.
I think Triple H knows by now, though, that an oversaturation of interference in these PLEs just makes it worse.
Yeah,
and
we got it last night.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And honestly, the only thing that surprised me out of this match was the outcome. I genuinely thought they were going to put the belt back on Io just because it was Stephanie's first shot at it, and they usually don't just hand it over to her. But I'm starting to believe now and starting to like the idea that they're going to give her not only the golden treatment of just going around every show and being like, this is your new champion, but she's going to go down to AAA for a while, most likely, and run through their incredible roster of female talent down there with that belt probably being put up because they're trying to
It's definitely a possibility. ESPN rated that match a B. Overall, I would have to say a B plus because with it being match of the night, with two of the most highly skilled performers that WWE has to offer, not just in the women's division overall, out of any company, and Io Sky is just a megastar in her own right.
Oh, yeah.
I got to get straight to the end of the match. We've seen a lot of impressive moves, a lot of great sequences, but that spinal tap swanton was, I mean, whoa! I stood up out of my seat. I didn't even know. Like, if we had the bleep button going right now, I literally was like, what the was that? I literally, like, I lost my cool because we haven't seen anything like that since the days of young Jeff Hardy. And I mean, if it wasn't a thing of beauty, it was a thing of just shock and awe, literally, like you said, that they actually let that slide through with, all right, we're going to do the 1, 2, 3. We're going to put it on her right now. And overall was just, I could hear Booker T geeking like thousands of miles away. So I was overall satisfied with that match and was not surprised that it was categorized as match of the night. Hell, look what they did in that ring.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great testament. I think it's a great testament to the fact that everybody was questioning if Stephanie was a safe worker when she first came up to the main roster and said she was rough and all of that type of stuff. I think this shows and proves that they trust her, that they trust both of them to do crazy stuff like that, that really not a lot of people would probably get the green light to do. Let's be honest.
Now, quick question. Seeing as how Crown Jewel is right around the corner and they do a square off, the respective brands champion versus champion.
Right.
Are you guys excited to see Tiffany versus Stephanie in this?
Well, again, that's a maybe because Friday you have a triple threat between Tiffany,
Jade and
Nia. So it's whoever wins that takes on Stephanie.
Keep it real, y'all. Keep it real. Keep it real.
No, I honestly would not be surprised. Hear me out on this. Wouldn't be surprised if they give it to Nia. Because don't forget of who was the one who won last year.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Nia really on television that much, which doesn't mean anything.
Well, no, she's been down in NXT, though.
I've heard rumblings of Nia Jax going to AAA also with another pair of WWE women's talents to, kind of not to run an invasion angle, but to let them know, Queen Nia Jax is really about that life.
I wouldn't be surprised, but to be honest with you,
it'd be a nice run.
I wouldn't hate seeing any of the three of them go against Stephanie at Crown Jewel. I really wouldn't. I think all three of them would present a really cool storyline and a really cool match for anybody to watch. But
definitely, personally,
would not be surprised if they gave it to Nia. I really wouldn't.
I hope not, man. We team Tiffy over here, man. So
I know. I love Tiffy.
I will.
Okay,
but her reign has gone long. It's gone longer than I think a lot of people have expected. And outside of this Jade storyline, does she really have any more true competitors on SmackDown right now?
That's a great point because I was alluding to that because when you have someone like Tiffany Stratton that commands a lot of attention, media hype, great pop whenever she's introduced, you can't really run her as a heel.
No.
Because they'll cheer. They'll still cheer. You can't run her. Well, you can run her as a face. Of course, they'll still cheer.
She's a true tweener, dude. She reminds me a lot of a young Randy Orton in that area.
No matter what they do, people are going to get behind her.
Exactly.
Because she's such a great worker, and that's the result of that. When your work is great, Doesn't matter how they present your character. People they're gonna go ahead and cheer. They're gonna get into what you're doing.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the next match in this. Absolutely. Well, I think it was a fantastic PLE for what we got, but I wasn't expecting a whole ton.
The mixed match tag team
AJ
was horrible.
You didn't like it?
I think AJ is horrible, man. I just can't watch her, man.
How?
Her moves are weak. It looked like I was watching it at Strongbow Stadium. I was like, her moves are just snorefest, man. And she's not selling anything. And I was surprised why it took so long for him to tag her. But once he tagged her and I saw her moves, I was like, that's why. It was just horrible to watch. Personally, that's just my opinion. But I'm also, I'm Team Becky all the way.
True.
But when I saw her like going like this, I was like, okay, you're not even hitting anybody. And
I have to remind myself, this was your first time actually watching AJ
she was
wrestle,
just
right?
horrible to watch, man.
She
was just horrible.
Like how? She was hitting her like what, man?
She wasn't even hitting anybody. And I'm like, how is she supposed to sell that?
I mean, okay.
Look, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I have to remind myself that don't get me wrong. I don't want AJ back in the WWE for completely different reasons. I've already stated them last week. I think we're leaning too much on nostalgia at this point. But
yeah, a lot.
I love her as a wrestler. Now, don't get me wrong. I get why you would dislike her style of wrestling because it's one of those that you have to know where she's coming from with a lot of it. But this is why you get moves like Roxanne Perez when she jumps on him and does her screaming thing. So
yeah, she does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nod to AJ.
And it's horrible.
I get it, but that's why her entire character is the crazy girl and that type of thing. So it's not meant to be a straight
move?
up fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I liked her finish move. I like her finisher.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed like a great move.
The submission
but
is
the
one
whole
of the best,
thing
but
setting up to it, I was like, wow.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I hated the match. I thought it was pretty well paced, at least.
I liked when they were doing the moves together. I mean, that was dope.
That was really cool. And the levee was going to break eventually. That's the one thing I hate. I wish they would make it tornado tags.
Yeah.
When in these mixed tag matches.
Which they kind of helped him do it for a little while.
Yeah. Let's stop pretending like we're not going to have both of them fighting both of them at the same time.
And what I did like at the end, which went into Monday Night Raw, I was happy that now we can move along away from Seth and CM Punk. We can get away from this story for a little while at least, because as soon as I turned on Monday Night Raw, I was like, okay, now we can start a whole different story because I am getting bored with this whole CM Punk Seth Rollins deal.
Well, let me go ahead and jump in there and tell you some things that ESPN found wrong with this match that I can also agree with, but also some things that I actually liked about the match. The things that I didn't like, all right? 30 minutes plus was this match. Now, I get it. They needed some time to, warm up, and maybe the check engine light was coming on some of those knees and joints. We are working with veterans in there. But the length it took to develop the match, some of the sequences were very sloppy. Like you said, the whole cat scratch fever move that really had no sell purpose in it. They gave it a C. I would have to give it a C minus. For nostalgia purposes, I gave it an A. I love seeing AJ Lee back. Last time we seen her in the ring was in the show Heels. And, she's a great worker. You can tell she stays in shape. She was on point with most of the stuff and got more comfortable as the match developed. Now, man, let me just keep it real. If it wasn't for Becky Lynch putting over this generation of women in the company right now, when it's all said and done, Becky Lynch is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
The
No
work
one's
she puts
denying
in, getting people over, selling.
Same with
working
AJ.
with people on the fly when moves don't go as well. I mean, I gotta literally give props to Becky Lynch on carrying a big chunk of this match with certain things. Now, Seth and Punk were no slouch at all, but they did really, I'm not gonna say phone it in, but you can tell they were on cruise control for certain aspects. I do like the exchange of finishers where you see AJ Lee hit a curb stomp, the whole thing with the sharpshooter reversal and all that good stuff. The match overall just cooked a little too long. So it was tough for some people to digest, and I'll just leave it at that because it wasn't a meal that I would usually order first up or on any PLE for me. You could have put that as a main event on Raw or SmackDown or Saturday night, whatever, on Peacock or whatever platform they're going to be on in the future. It served its purpose, but it didn't have a place on that PLE. You could have easily put somebody else in that spot and given it to, not saying a more deserving superstar because they're trying to sell names. I understand the business aspect of that, but we could have got a better quality match or a further development of a feud or rivalry.
No, 100%. But honestly, I think that was the point with this match. This was more for AJ and Becky than it was for Punk and Seth. Punk and
Definitely.
Seth will get a culmination of that at some point after Crown Jewel, after Seth takes on Cody for the ring.
Well, it was cool to see Punk on the side just clapping when he was supposed to be knocked out. And, I mean, they had fun with it. I'm glad it's over, and hopefully they can move on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
with the main event, Cody and Drew, what'd you guys think?
I mean,
Disappointed.
yeah, pretty much what I was expecting.
Trash.
I thought for sure we would at least
Hot garbage.
some sort of title
Whack.
change, but
Yeah.
It makes sense though. With the Crown Jewel thing coming up, you obviously want Cody, who's the Crown Jewel champion, taking on the other champion, which is Seth Rollins. That's what they want. My only thing here, and we can end on this as well since we're running out of time, but the ring that they flashed on Monday. Now, Sparky might not get this a little bit because he doesn't watch AEW, but Kimball, I know you do.
With the dark match?
No, there is a championship in AEW that's a ring.
Yeah.
It's the
Yes.
Do you believe that this is WWE trying to one up AEW and say our ring is going to be more coveted than yours? Because that's essentially what they're trying.
Yes and no, because yes, for the simple fact that AEW was really the first ones to kind of put out there that whole ring championship thing, but also because sports teams, ESPN era, they kind of knew this was coming last year. This deal was not overnight. Hell, they gave them close to, or if not $1 billion to secure this thing, and they're constantly giving out replica titles to teams. So why not adopt the philosophy of our champions have rings as well? Instead of replica belts, we could go ahead and start piecing off these rings for certain events that, hey, I won this, I won that, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of adds a more sports-like authenticity to the brand that WWE is infusing with ESPN, which is all things sports, of course. But, the match never really had time to get out the gate. It was rather short. It was more like a SmackDown main event. Unfortunately, Drew, I don't think this is the end for Drew. I could see him really joining up with somebody at War Games or something like that. Not saying he's going to team with Brock, but possibly he could team with Brock and the Vision. Yeah. And, go against the WWE All-Stars and whatnot. But nonetheless, I just really wasn't feeling it, man. I think Drew, honestly, should have won. That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have shocked the hell out of everybody. Couldn't nobody say like, oh, WWE didn't, deliver, or it was an underperformed PLE. Certain things did seem kind of phoned in. But at the end of the day, this is just another piece to move forward for what they're going to bring out on SmackDown or anything after Perth. Because Drew is going to get his revenge, hopefully.
Drew's going to get that belt.
The storyline doesn't, and the storyline doesn't die out. But some of the time, hell, the majority of the time that they gave to the Punk and Seth match could have went to Cody and Drew. They just needed a little bit more time because 12 minutes, 12 minutes and some change
roughly
for a main event, as intense as it was, it just never fully got out of the way.
That's also the only match, though, that didn't have a lot of build-up going in, so maybe
that
was the reason.
It was kind of rushed.
But real quick, before we let you go, because I have one thought that just popped in my head, and we'll end on this, but do you think at some point that they're going to be a connection between Crown Jewel and WrestleMania in 2027 for that ring? Because it just makes sense to me now, because what you were saying about them trying to make it more sports-like, obviously WrestleMania is wrestling. Super Bowl would only make sense that Crown Jewel and WrestleMania would meet right in the middle in 2027 in Saudi Arabia, and you would have essentially champion versus champion of whoever at the time is the champion.
Well, it makes perfect sense, and it's a possibility. These things are always likely to happen in WWE or in any of their company meetings of potential product that they could put on the website, and hell, who wouldn't buy? the WWE Championship ring that signifies different PLE victories. That's just an extra $400 for them to take from you on top of the thousands that they are getting.
Oh my gosh!
From us.
Don't
yearly,
even get into prices right now. I
No.
saw the cost of the WrestleMania,
And they said they're only going up.
it was like 8,000 or something like that. But we have 2 texts I want to run by KG before we go because we never really get to because we always run so damn long. But one said Drew versus Cody 100% trash, and the other one said, "What do you guys think about the Adam Copeland love for Cena in his match?"
I loved it, but again, he's been making allusions to
It was
all of his
very
biggest
nice.
rivals. So I think it just needs to continue.
Very nice, man. You know, one thing I got to shout out there about Monday Night Raw, Grayson Waller sold the hell out of that super Mexican destroyer.
Did you see
from
him
the mid-row.
shaking in the ring afterwards,
great.
holding his neck?
It was great. I know we
Acting.
didn't get to really
Oh
cover
my
Raw
Lord.
right now, but I'm gonna put it out there. Raw had a better feel to it
Yes.
than certain parts of WrestlePalooza, and I think it took ESPN calling out WWE Creative to say we demand more for what we paid. We don't want a buyer's remorse situation. So put up or shut up.
Do we get
And I
a
think
Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea and Io?
At some point, yeah.
at some point it's going to happen. We're going to see
Yes.
the best series of matches in these next few months because of the pressure ESPN is putting on WWE than we've seen all year, and I guarantee it.
This is going to be interesting. But, sir, thank you so much. We've run out of time, unfortunately. We'll talk to you next week. And we are brewing on these wrestling videos. They'll be coming out very, very soon. We actually are working on a location to do them and just need to work out some kinks. But there should be some extra stuff coming to the YouTube channel very soon between the three of us talking wrestling and all the other stuff we don't get to during these segments. But we got to take a break, pay some bills.